There is a moment many women experience, usually in silence, when they realize they feel more than the people around them. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a loud or chaotic way. But deeply. Constantly. Almost instinctively. It often begins early in life, when you notice moods before words, tension before conflict, emotional shifts before they are spoken. At first, this sensitivity feels like a gift. Later, it often feels like a burden. Emotionally aware women don't just feel emotions, they notice them. They sense changes in energy, tone, distance, and absence. They pick up on what is unsaid. They read between lines that others don't even see. And because of that, they often grow up believing something is wrong with them. That they are too sensitive. Too emotional. Too intense. But emotional awareness is not weakness. It is perception. And perception comes with a cost. Many emotionally aware women learn early to regulate themselves instead of being regulated by others. They learn to stay quiet so they don't overwhelm. They learn to explain their feelings carefully, choosing words that won't scare people away. Over time, this creates a pattern where their emotional world becomes rich, complex, and internal, while the outside world sees only calm, composure, and strength. This disconnect is one of the reasons emotionally aware women often feel lonely, even when they are not alone. What most people don't realize is that emotional awareness doesn't turn off. You don't choose when to feel deeply. You don't decide when to notice. It's always on. And because of that, emotionally aware women often absorb more than they release. They carry emotional weight that was never meant to stay inside one person. They sense disappointment before it arrives. They feel distance before it becomes obvious. They grieve relationships before they officially end. This is why emotionally aware women often feel tired without knowing why. It's not physical exhaustion. It's emotional processing that never pauses. They are always understanding, always adjusting, always interpreting. They often take responsibility for emotional balance in relationships, even when no one asked them to. Not because they want control, but because they sense instability and instinctively try to soften it. In relationships, this awareness can create imbalance. Emotionally aware women often give clarity, patience, empathy, and understanding, without receiving the same depth in return. They explain themselves gently. They listen deeply. They wait. And when something feels off, they notice it immediately. But instead of confronting it directly, they often try to fix it internally first. They ask themselves if they are overthinking. If they are being too much. If they should give more time. This internal questioning slowly teaches them to doubt their own emotional intelligence. And that is where pain begins. Because emotional awareness is accurate far more often than people admit. The problem is not the awareness, it's staying too long in environments that don't know how to respond to it. Emotionally aware women often attract people who are emotionally unavailable. Not because they want that dynamic, but because availability feels familiar to those who lack it. Their calm, understanding presence becomes a safe space for people who don't want to look at themselves. Over time, this creates a pattern where the emotionally aware woman becomes the container for emotions that are not hers to carry. There comes a moment, though, usually quiet, internal, and deeply personal, when emotionally aware women begin to shift. They stop explaining as much. They stop chasing clarity. They stop offering emotional labor where there is no emotional reciprocity. This moment is often misunderstood from the outside. People say she changed. That she became distant, cold, detached. But what actually happened is something else entirely. She learned discernment. She realized that understanding others does not require sacrificing herself. That empathy does not mean endurance. That awareness does not mean obligation. Emotional awareness, when unprotected, leads to exhaustion. When protected, it becomes strength. Quiet strength. Grounded strength. The kind that doesn't need to be proven. This is why emotionally aware women often walk away silently. Not because they don't care, but because they finally care enough about themselves. They leave when they realize that explaining one more time will not create understanding, only delay acceptance. They choose peace not because it's easy, but because chaos has already taken enough. If you are emotionally aware, you are not broken. You are not too sensitive. You are not difficult. You simply perceive more. And perception requires boundaries. Without them, awareness becomes pain. With them, it becomes wisdom. The moment you stop apologizing for how deeply you feel is the moment your emotional world begins to stabilize. You don't need to feel less. You need to feel safely. Around people who can meet you where you are, not where they are comfortable. Emotional awareness is not meant to isolate you. It is meant to guide you. To show you where you belong and where you don't. And once you stop fighting it, you stop feeling lost inside yourself. You begin to trust what you sense. You begin to choose differently. And slowly, quietly, life starts to feel lighter. Not because you feel less, but because you finally stopped carrying what was never yours.